Hello, Sci Fi Gangstas, Dannar, Will Moon, Jeremy Shepard. I was actually looking at the camera, so I was like, Will Moon, nope, Will Moon, Jeremy Shepard. So this topic, we're going to talk about Star Trek. Yay! Everybody loves Star Trek, and we're going to do top 5 Star Trek characters. We'll each give our top 5. We'll go in kind of an order. We'll have a little fun with it. Maybe even talk about why your top 5 is wrong. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a little fun with that. We'll introduce the Will buzzer. Didn't have to use it last time. But
so you've already introduced it.
I've already introduced it. Right. So that's good. This is actually a taboo buzzer. Let's do top 5 Star Trek characters, the whole universe, the whole shebang. So if you want to do Chris Pine, Captain Kirk, go for it. Do it. If you want to be a Star Trek hipster and say Quark, go for it. I'm all about it. I'm all about.
Why is that hipster? I almost was.
That's a hipster. That's
Really?
a hipster response.
Oh, okay.
How is it hipster?
I don't know.
Quark is a valid character.
He's a really great character.
Okay. All right.
He's one of the best examples of trying to fight your nature based off of your society.
So
Yeah.
Quark is in your top 5 is what you're trying to say.
No.
Actually, he wasn't that far out of mine.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
All 3 of the main Ferengi from Deep Space Nine, they really rehabilitated what was not a successful
Right.
race introduction
Yeah.
and Next Generation with those 3 characters.
All right. Let's do this. We'll start with our 5. We'll just say this at first. Before I was going to say we're going to leave out Spock and Kirk and Picard because we're all going to have them in there. You know what? Forget it. Let's just do our top 5. Our actual top 5. Let's go. We'll go first.
All right. I'm going to leave Kirk out, even though he really is.
Dun, dun,
He's really one of the top 5, but I think we're going to have the same 5, all 3 of us.
Okay.
I really feel like there's a strong chance that's going to happen. I'll be remiss if I cannot leave the top 2 characters out, or the ones you just mentioned.
Right.
So to cheat this, I'll go with number 5. He's a great character, and he also, in some ways, is the worst character. Is Q.
Okay.
I had Q.
Yeah, Q.
Really?
Q from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then he appears in the remaining shows as well.
He does.
Because if God existed, he would look like a balding Frenchman.
And he would get fatter over time.
He would
get slowly.
visibly age, so we would feel more comfortable
Exactly.
as an audience.
He would do that for us.
He was introduced in Encounter at Farpoint, which is the pilot for The Next Generation. Seasons 1 and 2 of The Next Generation are like hella bad. Like there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff in there sporadically, but for the most part, there
Until Riker gets his full beard,
Okay.
it just kind of
and until I guess the board show up is when.
I'm trying to think of a good episode in the first 2 seasons. I can't think of
I
one.
like the pilot. I like.
Encounter
I thought
at
it
Farpoint
was
is
okay.
okay. It's clunky, but it's okay. There's some decent ones down through the season, but they were far outweighed by the bad ones. The one with the bugged incursion is pretty fun, at least, to watch how gory it was for Star Trek. And then in season 2, the one with the Borg's first introduction is a classic. And then also the Data, the Measure of a Man, where he goes on trial. Those are really important. But Q comes in the first 2-parter. He comes back later in season 1, and then he's in every season but 1 going forward. He's not super great early. He's petulant. He's sort of irritating. And he kind of is the worst parts of what Harlan Ellison said. Most Star Trek episodes are about Gene Roddenberry sending the crew out to go find God, and then they do, and then they talk, and that's it. And he's kind of right, because in the first series, and then even in the first movie, the motion picture,
and then Star Trek 5. That's all it was.
Star Trek 5 literally is supposed to be God. So
wait, you're not God.
So it's a trope like this. We'll go beat the big powerful thing, the undefinable thing, and then we'll have to validate our existence to it.
Yep.
And that's directly the Q conflict.
You had Q in your top 5?
I did until we changed the
So you got rid of the Q.
Yeah.
But he really turns into a great character as it goes. First, he does bring Q Who, which is the one when the Borg first show up, and that's an important episode.
It's a very great episode.
And his big speech at the end about getting your nose bloody,
that's solid.
That really turns Q from a pretty problematic character into one that has a lot of.
What's the end of the episode? What does Picard say at the very end of the episode? Like they're coming or something.
They're coming, and the Q may have done us a favor because.
And then he kind of like looks out.
It's very ominous.
Yeah,
they do come back.
They do.
And then in season 3, the one where he gets depowered is way better than it had any right to be. The stuff with him and Data and him and Guinan, there's a really great humanity brought to Q there. he comes back in an episode in season 4 that's fun but not super great. And then in season 6, he shows up twice. Once is the one with the girl who's becoming a Q.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that's good.
But Tapestry is a monster.
Yeah.
The one where Picard is dying and Q comes to
that's
him.
such a good
and
episode.
that is a wonderful, and the Picard Q double act
That's great.
is so they have such great chemistry they developed by this point in their relationship, and there's some really great stuff there. And then he comes back in the wonderful plot hole filled, but still wonderful series finale. His appearances in the other shows never quite carry as much impact. The one in Deep Space Nine's fun, but he kind of is there just to be there in the later shows.
He did it in Voyager too, and it was kind of just a way to get Jonathan Frakes on the.
It's just a way for them to hey, Q. Hey, it's cute.
Yeah,
It's kind of all it is.
Yeah, actually, Q was in Voyager several times.
Yeah, he did. Q come into it.
You had the Q-like character in the original series, Trelane.
That's just true. Yeah.
Wasn't he retconned into being a Q in the books,
Yeah.
I think? So he's an interesting character. They kind of give form to this Roddenberry-ish idea of this super powerful, indefinably abstract thing in the form of a French guy. But he really grows into the role, John Delancey, and they do a great job of reminding you of the menace of the character, but also then what he represents and what we can become. And then in the books, they give him some crazy, weird responsibilities to do. That is kind of fun.
And then one of the better books was Q Squared.
Okay.
They had. It's really good. What always confused me, because you had all these so you had the Q continuum, you had the prophets,
Right.
and like where was the overlap there? Because they're not in time, right? So they're and that was always interesting.
There's a lot of powerful beings that just kind of hang out. And
It's kind of like the Marvel universe.
They-
It's really hard to rank them all because they obviously should be sharing some of the same real estate, but yes, no, they don't.
All right, so you're 5.
So mine is Julian Bashir, Deep Space Nine.
Wow, that's
Really
a good
great
one.
character.
That's a good one.
I like everything about Bashir.
Okay.
So in the beginning, he was kind of.
So in the beginning, he was terrible.
He wasn't terrible. He was.
He was really bad.
He was what you would expect him to be.
Okay.
So he was what you thought anyway was coming from this really wealthy family. He chose to be out there on the frontier, and he wasn't really used to it. He was kind of the Anakin Skywalker whiny type character.
He was.
But then he turned into a really great character. His relationship with Miles is one of the better friendships throughout any of the shows.
Their quote unquote friendship. Should we go there? No one. You never heard the rumors that they were actually both gay.
I'm okay with it.
Am I I was just saying. I thought that was like
like you said, O'Brien has a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bashir had the hots for Dax, and Enzo.
Yeah, they're just both beards. It's okay.
I mean, I kind of like that.
I just thought that was I thought that was something that everybody.
We're wading into weird territory in Star Trek and the gay character thing.
Okay.
Because they've not done well with that, and there's been some pretty bad
There has been.
scare like people getting fired over it and episodes getting squashed and stuff.
The episode I'm talking about.
The
episode I'm talking about is when they're in the dream state, when they're Sloan, they're in Sloan's mind. They're both laying down, and he says something like, "I like you," and he's, "No, you like me," and Miles is like, "Yeah, you're my friend." He's like, "No, you like me more than you like your wife." Do you not remember?
I don't think that means they're gay. I just think
No, I'm just saying. I thought that was kind of like a thing.
It's pretty intense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anything more about Julian Bashir?
He's a good character.
I liked him a lot. I thought the whole genetically engineered thing kind of just took him off to another level.
So,
and I felt that writing was what made him a great character.
I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with the whole genetically engineered thing because I mean that.
No, I'm saying I did like it.
Oh, you did like it.
I'm saying I did like it. I
Okay.
thought that's what made him so great because of that storyline. So you could have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, when that kicked in and Section 31 pulled him on for some things, and it was I mean, that's kind of when his character. I think he took off before that, but that's when he was really solidified.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. Him and Garrick. There's some really good stuff.
Yeah.
from
There's
them.
some good
There's
stuff.
about 12 characters on Deep Space Nine that really all could be tied for a spot here.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to leave all of them off because I can't pick one over any of the rest of them.
Yeah.
But there's so many great characters on that show. So much depth that they're all given. And it's the most cohesively written show.
Yeah,
In the
it's
Star Trek
the
universe.
it's the best one.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So my number 5, I'm going to use props. I'm going with Data. Okay, so a lot of people might consider Data to be poor man's Spock, right? And kind of, it's kind of like that a little bit in some of the episodes.
Poor man's Wesley Crusher.
The poor man's Wesley Crusher. You can't really even see that on the thing because of the glare, but here you go. There's Data.
You can always take it out of the
I'm not going to take it out. No, don't you dare. Leave it in the box. Leave it in the box and look at it.
Destroy him.
Right. I'm just melting. So Data, a lot of the best episodes in TNG revolve around Data. So they use Data to kind of define what it takes to be a human being, what it takes to be alive. Measure of a Man's a great episode. Throughout the whole process, Data's trying to become more human, which is very different than Spock because that's not what Spock was doing. Spock was fighting to become human. Data was actually trying to, be kind of the Pinocchio of the series. He was definitely the heart of the show. Like whenever you needed to just have a feel good episode, you threw Data in there and we talked about, he's just a guy, he's just an android trying to be human. A lot of fun episodes with him. I really enjoyed that character. Like I said before, not necessarily poor man's Spock. Just I thought a lot of the episodes, because everyone talks about Star Trek being like the episodes mean something, right? We're actually trying to talk about something bigger than just and I felt like Data was used for that. That's why Data's in my top 5.
Yeah. Okay. What did you like him when he got his emotion chip in Generations?
I didn't hate it because it was only like a couple movies, so it's not like we couldn't really dive in there. But I felt like that was necessary for the character. You couldn't really just do I can't feel anymore. You kind of had to take it. I actually enjoyed Generations a lot more than others. I thought that movie had a lot of emotion.
It does.
Especially when it came with Picard, the scene where he finds out his family's died. I mean, that's a very powerful scene.
Yeah. But yeah.
The scene when Data loses control of his emotions, that's a really cool scene. That was a lot of fun. Obviously, when he finds his cat, that's a very emotional scene. Of course, they ruined the movie at the end by killing Kirk, but whatever. I thought it was a very solid Star Trek movie that a lot of people don't consider a good movie because of the ending, because they didn't like the way it ended.
Yeah, it does ruin it for me.
There's some clunkiness with the way they get there, but there's a lot of good villains. Malcolm McDowell's a wonderful villain.
Yeah, he is
in that movie, and I like some of the ideas. It feels more like a
It's
Star
like
Trek.
a Predator.
It feels more like a Star Trek movie than the next movie, which is a better movie.
It is better.
It is the best of those movies, maybe the best movie. Although you get a lot of pushback on that with 2.
Yeah,
but
Generations
is a very Star Trek movie, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, that was 5. Let's go 4. Will?
Well, it's Data.
Hey!
So yeah, I mean, just a kind of corollary.
I'm just dropping it
with Data here. Yeah. Brent Spiner, I think, never was comfortable with Spiner. I think Spiner. Is wonderful in this role. There are times when they let him ham too much, like when he gets to play like Wild West Data.
Yeah.
And Lore never lands for me. Lore has a lot of potential, but there's too much sneering, like mustache twirliness with Lore.
The whole doppelganger thing. Yeah.
But there's a lot of other really cool stuff with him, though. I really love The Most Toys, which is a late season 3 episode where they think he's dead and he gets kidnapped by the guy who's trying to collect him. And Saul Rubinek is a character actor who plays that guy and really steals the episode. But there's so much wonderful character work with Data done there. You talked about the emotion chip sequence in Generations, and then he has a nice arc in First Contact, which sort of pays off of that.
Right.
But not as overtly as it, because people didn't necessarily love the emotional Data from the previous movie, so they kind of keep it in the fold but don't overdo it. But I like some of the Borg stuff with him. They kind of took a long time to get around to the Borgs, what the Borg would view Data as.
Yeah, that's true.
They do it in the Descent 2-parter, which isn't one of the best Borg episodes.
I actually did not like that episode.
It's not as good as it should have been. But yeah, Data's a really interesting character, like the way that people relate to him. Even the weird sexual thing with the Yar that happens early, and then they keep reminding you it happened. It's like, I don't know if I need to be reminded that that happened.
Did he have it with Deanna's mother? What's her name? Loxana?
Yeah.
No, did he? In the show? I don't think so.
Did you do what?
I thought there was like a little sexual moment with the two of them.
When?
I don't I mean, maybe she flirted.
Yeah, like it was.
Let's face it. Let's
from
face
her.
it. Deanna Troy's mom was a slut.
Yeah. It was.
She probably slept with that.
You talk about the Measure of Man. We mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
That's one that most of the cast members say was the first great
Yep.
episode of the show because it kind of laid out a lot of the basic stuff. When he makes the daughter,
That's
the
powerful.
offspring, that's a strong one. That's a really strong one. And I mean, there's a lot of very good Data episodes scattered throughout. Like you said, he was a good go-to to get that sort of emotional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were able to do it with other characters as the show went along, but they were able to get to that quickly with Data.
Even some of the episodes that were like, yeah, that was a pretty good episode, like the one where he dates the woman where he dates. He does the whole relationship thing. That was a good episode. But yeah, I really enjoyed Data. What's your number 4?
McCoy.
Okay, here we go.
I don't know if there needs to be any validation. I mean, it's hard to separate the three of them from the original series because they were all. I mean, so McCoy was the emotional side of Kirk. I mean, he was that half of him, and he was just such a fun character.
Was he everyone always talks about the Trinity. Mm-hmm. Was he the Trinity? Was the original series, or was it the movies when that happened?
No, it's the original series.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's the original series. And yeah, I mean,
I think we gotta say though, McCoy sort of racist, and he hits women. So I mean, let's just go ahead. He does slap a woman. Don't say he doesn't because he slaps a woman in one episode.
They all get.
They deserved it. That's what you're gonna say. You're gonna say
they all get very physical. I mean, Spock is very mean to Yeoman or to Nurse Chapel.
That's true. That's true.
When he's going through his Pon farr thing, but
that's true. Okay, so McCoy. 4 is Worf, and a lot of why I liked Worf came from Deep Space Nine because Next Generation, he was sort of this like archetype, like warrior character who was always he was the guy who was always going to be wrong. Like he was the guy that Picard that you needed to prove that Picard was a great leader because Picard would say, "No, Worf, we're not going to shoot these aliens," right? He was also used a lot to kind of establish like a character as being very powerful. Like if this character could beat up Worf, like this was this is a powerful one.
They're coming for you.
Right. So he had a lot of there was a couple of great episodes in TNG. Parallels is probably one of my favorite Star Trek episodes. Very Star Trek-y, alternative universes. I thought the Borg universe version of the Enterprise was really awesome. It's like we don't want to go back.
Yeah, they're all terrified.
Yeah, that was great. So I really enjoyed them. Where Worf took off was in Deep Space Nine because he went from this kind of archetype to a leader, like a brave leader who grew as a character. Who one of my favorite episodes in Deep Space Nine was when he gets captured and he's constantly fighting people in the pit. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
There as well. I wasn't as crazy about the Dax-Worf relationship as a lot of people were. I know a lot of Star Trek fans loved that. Although I did love the episode where he gets in trouble for going back and saving his wife, saving Dax. That was a great episode.
So what did you not like about it?
I wasn't a fan of Dax, so I felt like
I don't like women.
I don't like no women. It was okay. But I really enjoyed Worf because I felt like he was. That's why we need a Captain Worf TV series. Yeah. But that's a whole separate series. That's a whole separate topic. But that's my number 4.
In The Return, the book written by William Shatner, Captain Kirk actually just beats the hell out of Worf.
Is that really what happens
in hand-to-hand combat?
I wonder why William Shatner would write that Kirk would beat up Worf.
Everybody else did.
Right.
True. Number 3 is Worf.
Yeah.
So you keep getting to mine before I do. His showing up on Deep Space Nine was a big moment for his character and for that show.
It was
as a show because they had wanted to do more of the grand story that they had been building toward, and they were getting kind of held down because Star Trek had this weird thing for a long time about not wanting stories to continue past one episode.
Yeah,
maybe 2 if we're getting crazy. And that sort of hurt some of the storytelling on the Next Generation early.
Well, that was actually not very big in TV in general.
And not at all, because you didn't have DVRs, you didn't have, VCRs were the only way you could really get a show unless you caught it live.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Twilight Zone had a big influence on that. It's just like Monster of the Week type thing.
Right.
Yeah. So once Voyager started, the head honcho kind of was paying more attention to it. So Deep Space Nine was able to sort of grow their world. And
right.
So, but I will posit that started with Robert Moore showed up. When he came onto the writing staff in season 3 of The Next Generation, that's when a lot of the big ideas came to the show.
Right.
But also, what is one of the masterstroke stories that they've ever told in Star Trek is just the whole Klingon thing. It starts with Sins of the Father.
Okay.
In the middle of season 3 of The Next Generation, when they introduce Kern, wonderfully played by Tony Todd, who's a genre legend, Candyman. And he's the voice of the villain in the new season of Flash. And he's just got one of those great presences that you love seeing in everything. And you go to Quolos for the first time, which they do before you do the movies.
Yep.
A lot of the design of that planet and a lot of the Klingon, now that they're not an antagonistic race, a lot of their the whole thing is established there. Where the design elements, the way things look, the greens and the reds really are very prominent. And that starts, the whole discombination story starts and carries on just a Greek tragedy about the Klingon Empire and the House of Moog and the Duras. His family, and it goes from that to all the way through the end of the Next Generation into Deep Space Nine, all the way through Deep Space Nine, and it's one you can pull all those out, and it's one long story, and it's wonderful. And Worf was a great choice for that because it was so much mythology to tap into with the Klingon Empire. Again, now that they weren't a villain anymore, you could see what made them antagonistic at the start and why they're friends now, and still have the ways that they differ. And they were really good. And they also brought the Rydlans into it to create a third point of the triangle. And it just opened. Worf was a vehicle to open the show up into so many other areas that Deep Space Nine paid off wonderfully in areas that didn't just involve Worf. Right. And that's why I think Worf is such a pivotal figure in the franchise. And again, Ronald D. Moore is probably the best Star Trek writer of all Star Trek writers.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Battlestar Galactica, right?
Oh yeah,
same guy. Yeah. Okay. You're 3.
Spock.
Okay. Wow. He's all the way down to 3. Okay.
Yeah. So Spock is my number 3. I mean, he's the other half of Kirk. He's the intellectual half. I never thought I didn't necessarily like the whole battle between his emotions and intellect, and the character kind of he absorbed both as he went on. Right. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to have him as a war between the two, because I think that's more Kirk. Kirk was the one who was the war between the two. But he's just he was kind of used as a human computer too much, I think, at some points.
Expositor of dialogue. Yeah, they did the same thing.
But yeah, he was a cool character. I mean, he was, it really, it's when the series took off, the original series, well, if you consider it ever really taking off before it got syndicated, is Amok Time, where he fights Kirk. He thinks he's killed Kirk.
That's a great episode.
He has, if you don't count the unaired pilot, he has his first really big emotional scene when he sees that Kirk is alive when he's back in the ship. And if you watch the unaired pilot with Pike, it's really super weird.
Is it really?
Oh, it's really weird.
Yeah, the pilot has Spock being a very different character.
Yeah, he's very emotional. He looks odder than he did in the beginning. He actually has this really weird walk. It was because the boots he had on were really too tight, and they hurt his feet. It's really weird. But then they brought some of that footage back, and they put into a later episode, a 2-part episode, where they edited out a lot of the stuff that made Spock look so weird.
That's the one where they take where Chris Pine comes back. Not Chris Pine. Captain Pike. There you go.
Yeah. It's where he's been disfigured.
That would be a great episode. Chris Pine comes in
when Spock is going to take him back to the planet, where the pilot where they went to, where they had the aliens. Yeah.
Cool. My 3 is Kirk. Captain Kirk. Obviously, you're going to have to put Kirk somewhere in your top 3. I I really enjoyed his character, especially when it came to the movies. I just felt like maybe the new movies have kind of ruined his character for me a little bit. I know I can kind of go back and watch the original series, but if I were to do the, I think everyone knows what my top 3 is going to be. It's going to be Kirk, Picard, and Spock. So if I had to rank them in a list, I would have to put him as 3. I really enjoyed it. I mean, he was a great character. He's kind of an arc now. I mean, we see him a lot. I mean, you see him Riker and Paris. Everyone's trying to repeat his type of character as being like the space cowboy, the Han Solo. You know, I'm gonna will my way out of anything. I'm gonna bone my way out of anything, right? So that's all I have to say about Kirk.
I don't think he ever did that. I think he would. Well, I'll talk about it when it comes.
Okay. 2.
Number 2, Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Okay.
Kirk is wonderful, and I didn't leave Kirk out of the top 5. I just did because I wanted to talk about Kirk.
Right.
Kirk really is. Come on, that's
Yeah.
Kirk. But I do love Picard, and I love the way they differentiate Picard from Kirk. That was a huge chore for the series to accomplish, and they do it pretty much right away. He's a bit of an ass. He's an officious ass early in the show. That's one of the reasons why the first season is not as good. And I think Patrick Stewart, who's just awesome.
Yes.
His warmth as a person and just the air of dignity he always projects, no matter what he's doing, comes through and sort of pushes the character in different directions. But he's the only non-American captain that we've seen at this point. He's Frenchman famously, and they do so many wonderful things with him. But they also put him through the friggin' ringer too, in a way that only O'Brien, who basically got like 2 or 3 torture episodes a year, would get. Because if you step back, and this is kind of like a comic book character, the way stuff piles up, and then once you look at it all, it's like, whoa, that man is doing a lot of horrible stuff. And Picard's kind of the same way. Obviously, what happens to him in Best of Both Worlds is one of the all-time great. I mean, the Mr. Worf fire is one of the all-time great moments ever in a science fiction or any show.
Best cliffhanger in history.
And then the guilt that he feels, they play at it early, but I think the later writers want to remind everybody, hey, this happened.
Right.
Like, he killed Sisko's family.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably feel that more in The Emissary, the pilot for Deep Space Nine, when just the look on Stewart's face when Sisko tells him that he was a survivor of Wolf 359. And so that's one just huge shift for him, that he has to deal with the experiences of being aboard. Mm-hmm. You also had the Cardassian torture in Chain of Command.
Yep,
there are 4 lights. It's always just incredible. Mm-hmm. And with him and David Warner, and then the way that he admits to Troy, I think at the end, that he thought that he could see by. It's a really human moment for him. The Inner Light is always considered one of the best episodes.
You're going through my whole list here.
He lives decades of another man's life, and has to carry that with him going forward. And they use the rescue flute so well as a little just reminder of that in some of the later seasons, which the show sort of started to peter out towards the end, but that was one of the things they were able to keep coming back to. And that's not to mention some of the less celebrated things. That, there's still multiple imprisonments and kidnappings, and him having the one with Famke Johnson, where he knows that she's fallen in love with him, and he just, like, his sense of duty, like they have to be apart. Yep. He really embodies a lot of the best ideals of the show. The humanity, the compassion, the sense of honor, and the sense of duty, as well as a strong sense of justice that maybe no one man ever could possess. But Star Trek wanted this to be, it's funny that Kirk is such a point of the triangle for the first show, because Kirk isn't really the ideal Star Trek guy. He is a little bit more of the man of action. Right. And Picard can do that too. He kicks some butt for a guy who's known as a thinker in the show.
Well, I think that they kind of saw that as, so you know what, Picard's kind of talking a little too much. Let's get him.
Stewart pushed for that behind the screen. He actually told straight up. The first meeting he ever had with Ronald Moore, he said, the captain of this ship doesn't do nearly enough shooting and screwing. And the episode where he goes to Risa for the first time was the result of that conversation. Okay. He really encompasses everything good about Star Trek. Maybe in a Mary Sue kind of way, but still, Patrick Stewart just sells the hell right out of it.
I like how we're using Mary Sue in every topic. Every show that we've done, we'll do a Mary Sue. All right, so go ahead. What are we at, 2?
My number 2 is Picard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're all going to talk about Picard.
So my probably one of my favorite moments in Picard is in First Contact.
All right.
When he's got the Borg flashbacks, and they go back to try to stop the Borg. But when he loses control, and you see just kind of how traumatized he was by the Borg, and he's willing to give everything, right, to stop him. And then he's got the great line with Worf where he calls Worf a coward, and kind of shows just how much loyalty Worf had to him,
right.
How important he was as a leader. And then he goes and risks his life to save Data, So that's probably my favorite moment with Picard is that the last half of First Contact.
Yeah, you broke your little ships.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. Great.
I'm assuming you're number 2.
Actually, no. I switched it up at the last minute. It's gonna be it's Spock. It's Spock. Spock's my number 2. I hate using the word iconic because I think it gets used way too much. But Spock is probably the most iconic Star Trek character ever. Like, you could go to, you could take someone who's never heard of Star Trek before and say, who is this? And they're like, oh, that's Spig, whatever.
They'd probably say Dr. Spock.
Dr. Spock, right.
That would be incorrect. He's
So
a baby doctor.
Everybody recognizes the character because he was such an impactful design for sci-fi. You have this alien character who you fall in love with over time, and he actually grows, and I actually enjoyed the whole turbulence that was going on in his head where he was trying to fight back the emotion, he was trying to go for logic, but he just couldn't fight his humanity. And being around Kirk kind of just brought that humanity out. His relationship with Kirk brought that out. And you saw it in the episode that you brought up where he thought that Kirk was dead. Yeah. He saw him. He showed that emotion. He got excited. And then obviously Wrath of Khan. We got to talk about the ending of Wrath of Khan. How impactful that final scene was because we knew these two characters. Yeah. We knew who Spock was. We knew Spock, used logic. He was using logic to make this decision, but we also knew that he cared about Kirk. He cared about these people, and we knew that Kirk cared about Spock. And that moment where they both put their hands on the glass, it's a very powerful scene. You get you a little teary-eyed when you watch it. And then you get really angry when you watch them do it again in the new Into Darkness movie. Yeah.
Which has none of that time invested in the character.
They try to force it.
Not the same thing.
It's not. Yeah. It's pretty terrible. So Spock is my number 2. Let's go.
Number 1, Spock.
Yay!
Spock. In some ways, Spock is the greatest science fiction character of all time.
Okay.
From a popular standpoint, because
Darth Vader.
I would still put Spock because, now I see, if you want to just separate their time and place out of it a little bit, then you could argue Darth Vader. You could argue, say, Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey, or Ripley from the Alien movies. You get a lot of different characters can come into it, but when and where and how, Spock probably takes it because we talked about it in the last segment that we did about the space program in the 60s, and science fiction and science was out there in people's minds at the time. Right. Maybe in a way that this may all kill us one day, but it was out there. And we it's funny to think about the things we learned at school that we took for granted that people then maybe didn't quite know. You read the Martian Chronicles from Ray Bradbury, he's writing about there being aliens on Mars. Right. But they didn't know any better. And it took a little bit before they realized they're wrong. Right. But, so our view of the solar system and the galaxy was still really, it still is now, but it was taking shape big time then, even compared to our little knowledge of it. And I've always had this archetype of the other. Mm-hmm. And Star Trek always has one. Data is that, Seven of Nine becomes that on Voyager. Odo is that on Deep Space Nine. They always have that character. I guess they go back to being the Vulcan in Enterprise because it's always this alien figure that's different from us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it wants to understand us and we want to understand it. Now, they split the difference with Spock by making him a hybrid. But he was sexual in a way for people in the 60s that I never have understood. He was. And women love Spock. And that was a big reason why he even was kept on the show. Yeah. After the pilot that Jeremy brought up earlier. And the logic, the sense of that greater sense of knowledge, even the fact that he was Mr. Exposition for half the episodes, was really big role for him to fill because he was a way for us to see something from a different perspective that Kirk or McCoy didn't quite bring. But then you put the three of them together. Right. and they become the absolute, the ethos, the logos, and the pathos. And the way our brains kind of spilled out onto these three characters, that they refined some in the movies, which are almost to a little bit of a degree different characters because of the different time period and creative minds behind it. But you mentioned Star Trek 2, and it couldn't be more iconic than that. Yep. And his death speech and just the whole setup of that, and of course Nimoy's general long time weirdness about even playing the character.
Yep.
And they still do good stuff with him going forward. His appearances in the Next Generation are good. The unification. And, I mean, this is a guy that is, if Picard was everything Star Trek wanted to be in a person, in a human, Spock was everything Star Trek wanted to be. He had the 1 foot in Earth and the 1 foot out in space with something that didn't really exist, but for all we knew it did. And I think that's what Spock brought to it.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
He had his humor and Voyage Home.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And the Drake dry sense of humor just in general. Like, he could be funnier with little, like he invented the Rock. He invented the eyebrow. He could really level somebody with that.
All right, who's your number one?
Kirk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kirk he's the embodiment of a wonder, of an adventure.
Okay.
I mean, it was always about, I think the Enterprise was always more important to him than anything else, than the crew, than any relationships he had. He just risk was his business, and that was, I don't know, he's cool.
Yeah. I like it. Very simple. Mine's Picard. I get really excited when I talk about Picard, so excuse me if I go off.
We all know how excited you are.
Yeah.
Turn the buzzer back on you.
Me and Patrick Stewart over there.
They shared a moment.
We shared a moment.
Patty Stew.
It was funny when I actually met Patrick Stewart. What did I say to him? I said, I know you hear this all the time, but I said, you're my favorite actor.
You're my hero.
I don't think I said that, but I
dream about you.
Yeah, I might have said that. I actually might have said that. So Captain Picard is the perfect representation of the perfect leader, right? And you mentioned Mary Sue, and I don't know why I keep saying Mary Sue. It's kind of funny.
It's an overused trope.
It is.
But even as its own term, it's overused because he has flaws.
Yeah, he does have flaws, and he's what we want in a leader. He uses diplomacy. He's intelligent. He deviates his responsibilities to his crew. He trusts his crew. A lot of times when you watch a lot of episodes, when Picard has a problem, he'll stop and say, "Hey, what are their ideas?" Yeah. Like he trusts Commander Riker. He trusts Data. He trusts his crew to kind of help him handle the situation. He'll easily out-talk himself out of the situation. There's been many episodes where he's done that. The scene where he talks to the Kardashian, I can't remember the name of the episode, where he talks to Kim Kardashian, the Kardashian, and where at the end he says, "We're watching." Yeah, that's very powerful. Very the wounded. There you go. Very powerful scene. He wasn't a coward though. I mean, if you try to put him in a torture device, he's going to say there are 4 lights. He's going to yell at you and say there's 4 lights. When he gets stabbed in the heart, he's going to laugh at it. I mean, he knows when to draw the line here. I love the Devil May Care young Picard that you get flashes of. Yeah. That really gives you a nice counterpoint to this mature older man that you see now. That's a great implied arc for the character. Just a great representation of what it is to be just a great leader, right? And a lot of ways, maybe that's just what we want in a leader, so that's what they created in Captain Picard. He does have some flaws. He did go through a lot, but he is probably the best, most complicated Star Trek character ever. Yeah. We didn't mention family. We mentioned the second part of that in Generations, but the episode family is the one after the best of both worlds. I mean, just when he finally breaks down is about as raw and emotional as Star Trek ever gets. You mentioned a lot of great episodes. The Inner Light is one of my favorite episodes. I mean, there's a lot of great Picard moments. Yeah. But yeah, that's my number one. So there you go. Those are top 5 Star Trek characters. You want to do an addendum on villains? Since we didn't mention any villains. I mean, Q, I guess, is the closest thing, but he's not really
fully a villain.
I think everyone's gonna say Dumar, not Dumar, but Ducat.
Ducat.
Yeah, I think everyone's gonna say Ducat. Yeah.
That's what's awesome.
He's probably the best.
Yeah,
out of all of them.
Ducat. He's the best. Yeah.
Or we could just do like Ducat and Khan. Because Khan
Oh, yeah,
really
yeah.
ruined him in the new. And I think Conrad's played him fine.
Yeah.
I just think that they just didn't earn any of the stuff beats that they came up with.
My name is Khan.
But Montalban's scenery tune was so good.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's
the
very
Moby
Shakespearean.
Dick
Yeah.
and the King Lear
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It really
The
is.
only thing that would make Ducat better was because you had so much time with the character.
You did.
saw his daughter, you saw the whole thing.
You saw him go from like, okay, maybe this is not that bad of a guy, and then okay, this is a terrible guy. You know, it's just a great roller coaster. Right?
And I like the way they use actors to almost create whole, like Armin Showerman plays one of the first Ferengi you see in the crappy season 1 episode. And then they bring him back as Quark and he becomes sort of the quintessential Ferengi for the show.
Yeah.
And he played a couple of them, I think, even between.
Yeah.
And then Mark Alamo, who appeared a couple times as different, people, races, he played the first Cardassian. He was the guy on the butt end of that conversation you were talking about.
He was. Yeah, you're right.
Wounded, and that was when they were first introduced with, hey, we had a war with these guys that we just didn't mention for 3 years. But, whatever, they get him established, and then they bring him over, and then they're huge in Deep Space Nine. And they bring him back to play, again, the archetypal Cardassian.
Is there anyone, real quick, in your top 10 that's on Voyager? Anyone in your top 10?
In the top 10? No, because all those DS9 characters I've played at were probably, there's some great characters there. 7 and 9.
I throw 7 and 9 in there probably.
Strong character. I like Janeway, too.
It's hard for me to separate 7 and 9 as a character from the very beautiful actress who plays it, Jerry Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
the show ratcheted way up, which came on. And not just because people wanted to
it
watch
did. It was
her
kind of their
Scott's
Worf
face.
moment, right? They
Yeah.
got rid of the one that no one liked in Kess. They got rid of her,
Yeah, no.
and they gave the much hotter.
Yeah, but also
Jerry
a lot of really good stuff, though, with her and then Torres and Janeway.
Yeah.
That's the triangle in that show, and it's all women,
Yeah.
which is good for the franchise to do, to get away from them being men.
Mhm.
And that's Voyager had a lot of potential it squandered.
They
But
did.
they did do a good job with that. Those 3 represent the same parts of the human brain. That
Too bad
Kirk,
the actresses hated each other in real life.
Yeah, that's also a problem.
Yeah. They absolutely hate each other.
And then you had the third best villain was V'ger.
Okay.
I'm joking. He's
Okay. I was gonna say okay. All right. Actually, one of the
The
best.
only cool thing I like is, if V'ger goes to the Borg planet and the Borg, Voyager goes to the Borg planet,
I've heard all kinds of origin stories.
turns into V'ger and then comes back. That's the only cool thing about V'ger.
Okay.
Is there a third villain that we want to throw out? Just around us, since there's 3 of us. We talked about Ducat and kind of such clear.
Yeah, they've got to be
Clear
top
choices.
tier.
Yeah, I can't really think unless you want to do something like
Borg Queen or a cheat like that.
who was the leader in Deep Space? Who was the Klingon leader in Deep Space Nine?
Gowron.
Galron. You might say something like
He's
Galron.
an interesting character because he gets caught up in that Worf arc. He gets a full because he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy, yeah.
Or at least the devil
Yeah.
for a while.
Mhm.
You don't see him a whole lot because then the actor with the Babylon 5, but I love Sub-Commander Tomalot or Commander Tomalot, the Romulan that Andreas Katsoulis plays before he goes and plays Jakar.
Yeah.
And they bring him back,
Yeah.
and just the part of the finale, how much longer will they have to stare at each other? Like, they do the great, like, we don't ever see him. It's just through communicators, but man, he's such a Shakespearean, just like,
So
that guy.
So the general in Star Trek 6 would probably be
Oh, yeah, Christopher Plummer. Another
Christopher
great,
Plummer plays great.
weighty, scenery
Okay.
chewing guy.
Very Hamlet. He's just quoted Hamlet.
David Warner is the Cardassian torturer in Chain of Command. Is also a great.
Oh, yeah.
So you go find your Shakespearean guys.
We got some good ones.
You know how to read King Lear and then put some crap on their face and run them out there, and you got a great villain. That's the Star Trek.
Well, there you go. That's our top 5 Star Trek characters. Let us know what you think. Tell us that you disagree completely with our choices. Like and subscribe. Watch us on our SoundCloud and all that kind of stuff. Bye.